welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling one of the biggest questions out there. What makes a hit song?
It's a huge question.
Our mission is to really examine this paradox. Is there a predictable, almost scientific formula for success? Or is it all just that random spark of artistic genius?
And that's a real knot to untangle, because success in music gets judged in two, completely different ways.
Okay.
You've got the subjective side, critical reviews, how a song makes you feel, and then you've got the cold, hard data.
The chart performance, sales, streams.
Exactly. So to get to an answer, we really need to unpack both the science of sound and the pure craft of writing a song.
So for this deep dive, we've pulled sources that look at these massive experiments, attempts to predict hits using just acoustic data. And we're going to reveal some really striking trends about, the emotional mood of music over the last few decades.
We'll also get into the blueprints, the actual structures composers use from the classical era all the way up to, the really meticulous methods of artists like Michael Jackson and Prince.
And here's the key idea we're going to build towards. The modern market seems to punish songs that are either too similar to everything else or, on the flip side, too different. That real sustained popularity seems to live in this tiny, precarious sweet spot right in the middle.
Yeah, it's a tightrope.
So let's jump right into the data. For decades, the music industry has been chasing this holy grail, right? This idea of hit song science.
Absolutely.
If you could just find the perfect ratio of, drum beat to bass line, couldn't you just manufacture a hit?
That was exactly the premise behind a major experiment back in 2008 by Pichette and Roy. They tried to validate that idea on just a massive scale.
Okay, so what did they do?
They took a database of 32,000 songs and fed it just a ton of information. We're talking over 600 descriptive labels for each song, all entered by hand, plus every acoustic feature they could possibly extract from the audio.
And we're not talking about simple labels like fast or sad, are we?
Oh, no. This was deep. We're talking about the micro-level grammar of the music. For instance, they measured the proportion of perfect cadences in a song.
Okay, hang on. Let's break that down. For anyone listening who isn't a music theory nerd, what's a perfect cadence?
Think of it like a definitive musical full stop. It's a specific sequence of chords that gives you the strongest possible feeling of finality, of resolution.
I see.
They were also measuring things like the ratio of percussive sounds to harmonic sounds, so how much is rhythm versus melody. They really tried to quantify the soul of the song.
So they threw the entire statistical kitchen sink at these 32,000 songs to prove that you could predict chart success from this grammar. So what was the conclusion? Did it work?
Decisively not. The myth was completely busted. The researchers found that, the acoustic techniques could predict the subjective labels pretty well.
So the computer could tell if a song was guitar-driven.
Exactly, it could do that. But it absolutely could not predict whether that song would be popular, commercially successful. No clue.
So you can know all the ingredients, but you can't predict if anyone will want to eat them either.
That's a perfect way to put it.
That feels like a huge finding. So if the computer can't predict a single hit, is all that data useless?
Not at all. Because while trying to predict one song fails, if you zoom out and look at the macro trends, the big picture, the results become incredibly revealing about our culture.
How so?
Researchers looked at over 500,000 songs from the UK charts over a 30-year period from 1985 to 2015.
Okay, that's a huge cultural snapshot. What did they find about the mood of our music?
They found a clear, continuous downward trend in perceived happiness and brightness in hit songs.
So less happy songs are becoming more successful.
Yes, and at the same time, there was a slight but very clear upward trend in perceived sadness.
So wait, is that because artists are just reflecting a culture that's getting sadder, maybe more isolated? Or they're actually driving that shift?
That's the big question, isn't it? We do know from other research looking at lyrics from that same period that there was an increase in words related to social isolation and loneliness. So it seems like the music is mirroring a real shift in society.
A move towards more introspective, maybe melancholic themes. That's fascinating. What else changed?
Well, we saw a huge increase over the decades in measured danceability and relaxedness.
What does that mean in terms of sound?
It basically signals this massive shift towards R&B, hip-hop, and dance pop styles. They started replacing the more traditional guitar-driven rock music that used to dominate. The popular sound just got, smoother and more rhythmic.
So sadder, more relaxed, and more danceable.
Pretty much. And one other major shift, a decrease in the maleness of hit songs.
maleness.
Yeah, the data shows that successful songs rely less and less on male vocalists compared to the total pool of songs being made. So statistically, the sound of a hit song, especially after the year 2000, is less male.
So even if a computer can't pick one single hit, every songwriter knows that structure is key. Let's talk about the anatomy of a song. You've got these, well, almost universal parts, right? Intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge.
And that structure is like the skeleton. Every song is built on it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And the chorus is the king, no question. It's the big, memorable hook, the part you can't get out of your head. And if the chorus is king, then I guess the verses are what carry it. They move the story along. They give the context that makes that chorus hit so hard.
And you can't forget that little piece of engineering, the pre-chorus or the lift. It serves a very specific psychological role.
The get ready for it moment.
Exactly. It's designed to build tension. Maybe the rhythm gets faster, the volume swells. It makes the payoff of the chorus feel so much more satisfying.
And songwriters use these standard blueprints, like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. That predictability is comforting, right? But it's all rooted in centuries of music theory.
That's the key. Music theory isn't a set of rules to restrict you. It's the grammar of the language. If you know your scales and chords, you have the toolkit. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time.
Can you give us a quick example of that grammar?
Sure. So say you're writing a song in the key of C major. You might just intuitively like the sound of playing a D chord right before a G chord.
Good.
Well, music theory explains why that works so well. It's called a secondary dominant. It's like a little detour that ramps up anticipation, so when you finally land back on that G chord, it just feels incredibly satisfying. It's structural engineering for your ears.
I like that. So if a 3-minute pop song needs that structure, I can only imagine what happened when classical music got longer and more complex.
Precisely. In the classical period, a piece could be 20 minutes long. Without a solid blueprint, it would just sound like rambling. So forms like the sonata form became essential.
That's the one with the exposition, development, recapitulation.
That's it. It's the ultimate story structure. Introduce your ideas, create conflict and tension by developing them, and then resolve everything by bringing it all back home.
Introduction, conflict, resolution.
Yes. And you also see things like rondo form, which is maybe a bit simpler. It's a pattern like A-B-A-C-A. A is your main theme, your refrain, and B and C are these little contrasting episodes. It keeps a long piece, like a Mozart piano concerto, feeling clean and familiar because you always come back to that main melody.
And these systems got so formal that some composers, like Joseph Schillinger, actually developed mathematical, almost algorithmic systems for composing.
They did, and that whole idea that music is fundamentally a mechanical process is having a huge resurgence today with AI music generation. It just goes to show whether it's Mozart or an AI, structure is everything.
Okay, so a structure shapes the song, the market decides if it's a success. And the very definition of a hit has just been turned on its head by Billboard, right?
Oh, completely. The way the Hot 100 is calculated has gone through these massive shifts.
What did the old system look like?
The old system was mostly based on an inverse point count. Basically, the longer your song stayed on the chart, the more points you lost each week.
So the system was designed to push songs off the chart.
In a way, yeah. It encouraged turnover, it made space for new artists. The longer you were a hit, the harder it became to stay a hit.
And today?
Today, it's all about cumulative totals. It's digital sales, airplay, streams, even YouTube views, all added together. It's about pure volume and engagement, which is why you see these songs making insane jumps up the chart, 80 or 90 spots in a week.
It's just a totally different game. And to even understand it, researchers have had to get creative. I read they started using epidemic models.
Yeah, the SR model, susceptible, infected, recovered. It sounds a bit grim, but it's a brilliant way to track how popularity spreads. It helps you see the difference between a real hit and just a flash in the pan.
So what does that model tell us about a viral song versus a true hit song?
A viral song acts like the flu. It's this rapid, explosive burst of popularity that dies out really fast. A very short, infectious period. The median is only about 9 days.
So like a TikTok trend.
Exactly. But a true hit song, one that really defines a moment, has a much more stable, sustained path. It holds on to listener interest for way longer. Its median infection period is around 30 days.
So virality and chart success are two totally different things.
Completely different.
Which brings us back to that crucial idea, the similarity, differentiation, trade-off.
Yeah.
This is where it all comes together, I think.
This is the absolute core of how the modern chart works. The data shows that for a song to even get on the Hot 100, it has to be, on average, more homogenous, more typical than all the other music out there.
So to get noticed, you can't be too weird. You have to be wearing the right uniform, so to speak.
That's it. You have to fit the template. But, and this is the paradox, for that song to stay on the charts, to have sustained success, it has to be awesomely different. If your song sounds too much like its peers, if it's just another part of the uniform, its performance suffers. It drops off quickly.
So don't be a carbon copy. Be the familiar uniform, but with one standout accessory.
That's a perfect analogy. Songs that are too similar or too radically different just don't make it. The winner is the one that's familiar enough for the masses, but just unique enough to stand out in the playlist.
You see the power of that with artists who have just mastered this game. I mean, Taylor Swift had all 10 tracks from Midnights in the top 10 at the same time.
An unbelievable feat. And then she did it again with 14 tracks from the Tortured Poets department. Her ability to dominate that cumulative count is just staggering.
And Drake holds the all-time record, right?
For most entries, yes. 361 songs on the Hot 100. He was also the first artist ever to debut at numbers 1, 2, and 3 simultaneously. That just doesn't happen unless you're constantly hitting that sweet spot of differentiation and volume.
Just to look back, the Beatles still have the most #1 hits with 20. And Elvis Presley had 109 entries, which is huge.
Though Mariah Carey has that incredible record for most consecutive years with a #1 song. 11 years straight.
So if the science is limited and the structure is just a skeleton, then what turns a song into a real legacy has to be the human element, right? The rigor of the artist.
I think so. But history loves to romanticize this idea of the effortless genius.
You mean like Mozart? Supposedly just wrote entire symphonies in his head flawlessly and then just transcribed them?
Exactly! That myth is so powerful. But scholars now know his process was way messier, much more complicated than that, even with his incredible musical memory. Beethoven, too. He claimed he only wrote things down when they were fully formed. But his sketches tell a story of struggle and constant revision.
Which is a huge contrast to the very real, very disciplined method of someone like Michael Jackson, especially on an album like Thriller.
Oh, Jackson's process was the opposite of effortless. It was all about intense discipline. He was famous for demanding dozens, sometimes hundreds of takes for a single vocal line until it had the exact emotion he wanted.
And his engineer, Bruce Swedian, was just as meticulous on the technical side, trying to create that signature hall of sound.
Swedian was obsessed with precision, vocal proximity to the mic, using natural spaces, managing the sound in 3 dimensions. And Jackson's vocal coach, Seth Riggs, worked to give him what they called vocal homogeneity across his entire range.
What does that mean, vocal homogeneity?
It means that whether Jackson was singing a low whisper or a high-powered belt, his voice had the same seamless, integrated, powerful tone, no weak spots. The sound was consistent and rich no matter what he was doing. It's an engineering marvel, really.
Then you have an artist like Prince, who is driven more by raw instinct than that kind of academic rigor.
Prince just synthesized dozens of genres on his own terms. His process was this constant creative outpouring. It allowed him to bridge gender and racial divides. He even released music as a feminine alter ego, Camille.
Right.
And that instinct created sounds that would influence hits decades later. I mean, you can draw a direct line from the Prince pen song Jungle Love to a global hit like You Uptown Funk.
And we have to talk about the foundation of all this. Someone like Elvis Presley, this giant of the 20th century, who helped create rock and roll by blending R&B and country.
Absolutely. But his story also highlights how the market mechanics can get ahead of the art.
What do you mean?
Well, Elvis popularized the songs, but that history is tied to the exploitation of the black artist. For instance, Arthur Coon's wrote That's All Right, which was Elvis's first single. He could have received almost no songwriting royalties for it because of a bad contract that funneled the money to his manager.
So even the idea of genius is tangled up in market forces and contracts from the very beginning.
Always has been.
It's just so clear that the journey from a note to a hit it's a messy one. It's algorithms, it's structure, it's chaotic markets, and it's sheer human will.
We've seen that the science can't predict a hit. We know structure is just the foundation. And market success depends on that tricky balancing act of being different but not too different. But in the end, yeah, what elevates a song to a true legacy is that unique artistic vision and just intense, uncompromising human work.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to take away. We know that AI-generated music is already hitting the charts. A track called Verknall did it in Germany.
Yeah.
So if we know a song's long-term success depends on being optimally differentiated from what's around it, and current AI systems are basically built to just replicate and recombine existing human patterns, will AI music ever truly innovate? Or is it doomed to hit a creative ceiling, always fated to sound just a little too similar to ever stand up against real human invention?